I can wear a onesie. I'm a strong, independent woman and an adult. I make my own choices. Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Saturday and I want to be comfy, so that is what we're doing. We're wearing a onesie. Will I overheat? Who knows? No one knows. I don't know. Today I'm going to share with you musicals that I don't like. Before we get started, show of the week is Little Shop of Horrors, a show that I do like. Tunes in that show, the opening number, Skid Row, love it. Absolute bangers. So I will leave a link in the description to a cast recording for you to check it out. So last year I did a little tongue-in-cheek video about why people who aren't into musical theatre don't like musicals. And in the comments of that video, I've had some really lovely discussions with people. There were some people who took it very, very seriously. It was just a little jokey video, but you know what, it's fine. Musicals make people angry, I get it. But in some of the discussions I've been having with you guys in the comments, there are a lot of people who mention things where I'm like, yeah, I actually don't really like that show, or yeah, I don't like musicals that do that either. So I thought in the interest of togetherness, I would share with you the musicals that I hate. And by hate, I mean fall on the spectrum of kind of don't really dig it, but like it's fine, to why does this exist, in my opinion. So hopefully it will show you that, yeah, you can be into musicals and it doesn't mean that you like absolutely every musical under the sun. Just the same way as people who are really into films don't like every film under the sun. So, yeah.
Hi, it's editing me. Apparently, I forgot how to count past 4 in this video. The counting goes a little bit skew-with. I don't know what happened. So I talk about 8 shows in this video. Just ignore the numbers I actually say past number 4. That's all I want to say. Bye-bye.
Without further ado, let's get to it. In no particular order, the winners are... No, in no particular order, number 1 is Oklahoma. Now, I feel a bit harsh putting Oklahoma in this list because I've only ever seen the old, like, 1950s film. But I think there are still some problems that probably, without good directorial choices, would bleed into a live stage production. The film is very, 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 very dated. It was on TV and I was like, yes, musical theatre history, Oklahoma is like one of the big pivotal shows. It was kind of when the integrated musical was here to stay, and I was like, I need to watch this. It's the first Rodgers and Hammerstein show. I can't have lived my musical theatre life not seeing Oklahoma. I was so bored. And I think not only is it the way that the show was filmed, like the filmed version of it, but also just the stakes involved in Oklahoma, I just didn't care. Again, if you were doing a revival of the show, you would obviously direct the actors to make the characters investable so that we invest in them, if that makes sense, which then makes us care about the stakes, because if we care about a character, we're going to care about the things they care about, right? But just the main conflict is chick wants to date cowboy. We don't like cowboys because they're farmers, and the alternative is the psychopath who dies in the end. I just like, why are we worrying about this? Do you know what I mean? So number 1 is Oklahoma. I feel like a traitor, but it's of its time, you know. Show number 2 is Carousel. Again, feeling like a bit of a traitor because I was in Carousel. It was my final show that I was in when I was at RAM, but I just don't think that show is needed in 2021. There's gonna be spoilers, so cut to this timestamp if you don't want the spoilers for Carousel. But essentially, Carousel is about this dude who marries this girl and like physically abuses her. He hits her. She's like, it's fine, I love him. He ends up dying at the end of Act 1. Act 2, he comes back as a ghost and hits his daughter as a ghost who's acting out, and she's like, yay, I'm better now. I'm not gonna be a hoodlum. And it's just like, but no though, but no, just no. And the thing is, even if you change the framing of Act 1, so already in Act 1, everyone's telling Julie Jordan to leave Billy Bigelow because he hits her and he's not a good dude. And she sings What's the Use of Wondering, where she's like, it's fine, he's your fella and I love him. That's not the tune, but whatever. So there's already the framing of everyone thinks she's a little bit crazy and should just leave him. And even if you amp that up so that everyone is like, girl, no, get out, you'd have to rewrite the end of the show, because the mere fact that their daughter, after being hit by Ghost Billy Bigelow, is like, it felt like a kiss. Everything's fine now, and it's like, just physical abuse is not a good message for a musical, and I just think like there's some beautiful music in it. I just don't think that we need that story anymore. You know, if you love June is busting out all over and you love You'll Never Walk Alone, I'm like, enjoy the songs out of context, because the context is problematic. And yeah, Carousel, we don't need it. I just do not stand behind that story. Yeah. Number 3 is Cats. I still haven't seen new movie Cats, and I need to watch it. I need to witness it for myself. But even that aside, there's the filmed version of the stage show, and I remember it being on when I was a kid. Like, you know, around Christmas time they always show musicals, and watching it and not knowing what on earth is going on. And I think the thing about Cats is, unless you are someone where dance is your main, most enjoyable form of performing arts, like you're living for the dancing, or you're a tourist, so you don't need a story, you just need spectacle and stuff to see, I don't think there's much in Cats for anyone else who doesn't fall into those two demographics. Like, if you're not fussed about dancing and you have English as a first language and you like, you know, actual stories with plots, you're not going to enjoy Cats. So I think Cats is just one of those ones where there's definitely a place for it, and objectively I can, as an adult, watch clips of Cats, and you know what, I could probably watch the whole thing. I probably would find it a bit slow, but I could watch the whole thing and objectively appreciate the artistry of it. But as a fan of musical theatre, because dancing's not my main jam, I just wouldn't enjoy it, you know? So it has its place, and you know, that's cool. It can stay in its lane. I'm over here enjoying singing and plot. Love it. Number 4 is Grease. And I know that lots of people love Grease, and I know that every time there was a school disco, they'd put on the freaking Grease Megamix with like Tell Me More, and we'd be on the boys on one side, girls on the other, like belting our tits off. Like, I get it. We love Grease, but do we actually love Grease though? The problem I have with Grease, and it is kind of similar to the Carousel thing, but not as hardcore, like spousal abuse. But with Grease, it's like, why does Sandy have to completely change who she is and how she dresses and what she does, and take up smoking and get lung cancer in 50 years? And Danny doesn't have to change at all. Like, why does the chick need to change? Why does she have to sew herself into a cat suit so she can't pee and he can do whatever the heck he wants? Like, he doesn't even keep on the preppy jacket, like whether, like that's a moot point. But you see what I mean, right? I just don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that as an overarching message of that show. Also, I think there are other characters in Grease that are far more compelling, like a Rizzo musical. That'd be pretty cool. She seems like she's got some stuff going on. She knows who she is. She's not gonna change herself for a guy. So, you know, I just think it's weak sauce. It's overhyped. Like me and Josh said in the musical theatre tag, it's an overhyped musical. I get it from a nostalgia perspective, but in general, like, loving musical theatre, nah, there's way better things to watch. Number 7 is Pretty Woman. Now, again, talked about this in the musical theatre tag. The writing of that musical is just so so bad. And again, kind of similar to Cats, I know it has its demographic who are living for it. If you love Pretty Woman the film and you love some poppy sounding songs and you love whatever the name of the guy who was in it, who was in a soap, and you just want to see him in a show, then I get it, it's your jam. And there's nothing like offensively wrong with it. If you watch it and just don't pay attention, you know, there'll be good directing, there'll be good performances, there'll be, like, it'll be fine. But the writing is so bad. The writing is so bad. So you want your act 1 to end on a question, either something to have been kind of thrown off kilter. Even if the protagonist is ending on a high, you still want some kind of question of like, what's gonna happen? Where is this going to go? In Pretty Woman at the end of Act 1, she's gone on a shopping spree. Everyone's saying she's beautiful. She's like, I am on my way. And it's like, there's no conflict. Like, obviously we know there's an Act 2 because if you're watching the musical, you've seen the film most likely and you know that there's more story, but where the interval is, you could just end the show and it's like, guys, and the dude has no story arc. He's just like, straight from the beginning, he's like, there's something about her. Give him an arc, make him be like, yes, I've hired this hooker, I'm gonna bang her and have a great business weekend, and then he slowly falls in love with her. Don't have him straight away be like, I've ordered this hooker because I think she's special and I'm getting the feels. No, just, I'm gonna stop there, but the writing, it feels lazy is what it is. It feels like it's Pretty Woman, people are gonna buy tickets, and that's true. You know, it's Pretty Woman, people bought tickets. You could have made it more interesting, guys. That's all I'm gonna say. Number 6 is chess. Now, I explained chess to Josh, and if you've seen that video, you may recall that in the finale I had no idea what the final song was about, well, penultimate song was about, and that's a problem. Chess is a good concept, but it's not executed in the best possible way. To the point of when you're watching a trio singing at the climax of your musical and you don't know what they're singing about, that's a little bit of a problem. There's either a lack of clarity in the structure of the song, or there's been a lack of clarity in the plot of the story up to that point. I just feel like it falls flat a little bit, which is a shame because, like I said, I think it's a very interesting premise, an interesting concept. I just feel like it missed the mark in terms of the execution. So yeah, number 6 is chess. Number 7 is a show that I used to be a massive fan of, and that is Rent. Now, I still like Rent, so Rent heads don't come for me. I still enjoy it. I love the music. However, when I watched the video essay that Lindsay Ellis made about this musical, which I'll link below because it's a really good video, my eyes were opened to some of the problems with this. Essentially, in Lindsay's video, she was talking about how Rent is about a revolution, but none of the characters are acting in a revolutionary way. It's just a load of entitled people who aren't actually taking part in any meaningful acts of revolution, especially seeing as the musical is set against the background of the AIDS crisis in the 1980s, when people were actually marching and protesting and all of that stuff. My uni did a production of Rent, and there were people who walked out of that not knowing that Rent was about the AIDS crisis. Now, you could say that part of that was to do with the direction, but also in the actual show, it is not that overt. There are characters who have AIDS, of course, but everyone is able to procure the really expensive drugs that were available at the time. Like Mimi, who is a stripper and basically living on the street, has access to AZT, which was a very expensive drug in America in the 1980s. It could have gone further with it. And then there are a lot of characters who are just terrible people. Like Mark Cohen is a bit of a douchebag because he's just like, he could ask his parents for help. He could, do what most of us have to do and, get the kind of sellout job and pursue his art in his downtime. So many people do that. That's not like a terrible soul-destroying thing. Yeah, he doesn't because he's entitled and thinks he shouldn't have to. Frickin', no, not Mimi. Who's Idina Menzel's character? Cowwoman. Only thing to do is jump over the moon. What is her name? She's a twat as well. I think when I was in uni, when I first discovered this show, it was like, yeah, revolution, and like sticking it to the man, threw it on the ground. But when you actually think about it, and especially in light of, you know, recent times, 2020 into 2021, where you see what actual fighting for justice and stuff looks like, and you're like, you guys are just weak. The people in Rent are weak. You don't want a revolution, you just want to get out of your obligations. And the characters who are actually trying to be revolutionary or are closer to revolutionary aren't the forefront characters. And it's like give us an Angel musical. Like give us an Angel and Collins musical and we actually see Collins's actual revolutionary stuff at the university that he's trying to do, and Angel setting up his support group and trying to like reach out into the AIDS affected communities. Like show us that. Don't show us like Film Guy being like, oh, I have to get a real job and I can't just make my own film. Do you know what I mean? Banging tunes though, so I'll still listen to it. And finally, number 9 is Annie. Now, I feel bad for Annie because I think the only reason Annie made this list is because I watched it as an adult. I'd never seen the film or anything like that. I obviously knew Maybe and The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow, but apart from that, I didn't know the show at all. And then it was on at the theatre where I worked, and I was seeing it in my 20s being like, well, this is not how anything works. The moment that got me was when they're in the cabinet meeting. Daddy Warbucks has like brought her along to this meeting with all of these politicians, and they're all like, so it's the Great Depression, Hitler's on the rise, there's no money, nothing, and she just stands up and sings The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow. And I'm just there being like, mindless optimism isn't gonna put money in people's pockets, kid. That's not how it works. That's not fiscal policy. Yeah, I'm just a little bit too cynical for that musical, and I think I saw it too late. I feel like people who like Annie probably saw it when they were kids, and there's a lot of nostalgia factor. Also, it's not a badly written musical or anything like that, so if you see a good production, you can enjoy it. But I saw it when I was at work and I was feeling very, very cynical, so yeah, I just don't think that one's for me. It's a bit too cookie cutter for my personal taste. But yeah, so that's Annie. It's pretty much it. I'm just cynical and I hate happiness and joy, she says in a sheep onesie. There should be a Shaun the Sheep musical. Why doesn't someone write that? I don't know. Oh my god, you could have tap dancing sheep. That would be amazing. So those are 9 of the musicals that I do not like as someone who is a fan / works in musical theatre. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. Would love to have you on the channel. Maybe I'll wear the onesie again. Who knows? You gotta subscribe to find out. Stay tuned for more theatre content from a UK perspective, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, friends!